Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. We see folks are making their way in from the waiting room. We're excited to chat with you all soon. We're going to give it a few more minutes to let folks make their way in. You see the attendance list going up. I hope you all are doing well. It is very beautiful here in Amherst today. It's like 80 degrees and sunny and beautiful, so the picture behind me really accurately depicts, and Alyssa too, what it feels like to be on campus today. All right. You see folks are still trickling in. We'll give it one more moment. Thank you all for spending your afternoon with us. We're excited to chat with you all today. We see some more folks coming on in. So maybe like one more minute and then we will get started just to respect everyone's time that's joining us today. Perfect. We're excited to have another Family U chat today, so we'll go ahead and get started. I will make some introductions today's session, and it's a really exciting one because we have Alyssa Cody with us. Alyssa is the Assistant Director of Student Success and Persistence in our Undergraduate Student Success Office. So she's here to talk to us a little bit more about supporting your student and their success. And so I'll pass it over to her. We also are going to mostly save questions for the end, but if you have a really urgent question, feel free to put it in the chat or the Q&A. I will be monitoring that. Alyssa's going to present for about 20 minutes, and then we'll have the rest of the time for Q&A as well, so there will be time to moderate. So I hope you all enjoy, and I'll pass over to Alyssa.
Thank you so much, Ashley. And I really appreciate you facilitating the Q&A while I am presenting. Let me just get my screen shared. That way you all can see my presentation. All right. And I just want to bring this over here because having two monitors is fun until you just don't know which one you're sharing. Awesome. Ashley, can you confirm that I am sharing the presentation?
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So as Ashley mentioned, my name is Alyssa Cody. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Assistant Director for Student Success Persistence Programs. I work in the Undergraduate Student Success Center, which is a centralized unit that supports all undergrad students at UMass Amherst, whether they're in their first year, second, third, or fourth year. We are here for them and offer a variety of programs. Just wanted to say thank you again for spending some time with us today. I'm really happy. This is my first Family U chat, so really happy to be doing this with you. I've put together a little agenda. As Ashley mentioned, I'll be talking for about 20 minutes, and that really is because I know that there are so many questions that come up at these U chats that I wanted to make sure we save ample time. So I'm going to start by talking about what structures for support exist when students are in their first year at UMass, and then we'll move into how that might look different after year one with some specific topics like living on campus, advising in course registration, career and professional development, and what I think is the most exciting thing is the off-campus opportunities that you might not have the opportunity for first year, but really expand as you spend more time on campus. And then the rest of the time will be for Q&A. So when students are preparing to enter their first year here at UMass, New Student and Family Programs, where Ashley works, has an amazing Next for the U newsletter that they start getting late spring that really helps them prepare for their next steps and kind of starting to orient through the university and figuring out what is coming for me, what are the deadlines, and how do I take this really just 1 week at a time and not trying to plan the next 4 years of my life all right now. After getting that Next for the U newsletter, they start to complete Guide to the U. Guide to the U is an online module that teaches students about campus. Really, what do we use as technologies and systems? What are the resources on campus? What are the student support services that I should be aware of? And they have to complete this in order to be invited to an advising appointment. We'll talk about that required advising appointment in a moment. Then, over the summer, students attend Ready for the U, hosted by New Student and Family Programs. They can do that either virtually or in person. They have their choice there. And then there's Welcome to the U, and that really starts when students move into campus. And then through the first few weeks of the semester, it's full of programming, events, special giveaways or kind of expos for clubs and activities. Really just a ton of things to help them get involved on campus, make new connections, and really feel part of the campus community. Also, when students are in their first year, They have the opportunity to participate in residential academic programs, or RAPs. That is something that is hosted by my office from our academic programs team. RAPs at other colleges are called living learning communities. Really, it's when students have the opportunity to live in a first year hall. They can take a gen ed class or a seminar class together. And it's a nice opportunity to get a small class and build community in that dorm. So you don't even have to leave your dorm to go to class. And you're in a class with just 29 other first year students. And this is something that people can only do their first semester on campus. First year students also take a first year seminar. That's another small class. It's capped at 19 students or fewer, and that meets once a week and is 1 credit, so it's really light to add to the rest of their schedule. All first year seminars have a common curriculum, but there is room for kind of autonomy in teaching. But the first few weeks are really spent helping orient them to campus, making sure they know about the campus resources. How do I find my way around? They might have an assignment where they have to go use a resource and report back on it, or they have to meet with their advisor or career advisor and report back on it. And then the second half of the semester is really where they start getting into that specific topic that the seminar is designed around. And those vary from the schools and colleges that we have. First year seminars are another academic program that my office supports. And about the guaranteed on-campus housing, I had mentioned the RAPs or first-year halls. All first years live in first-year halls, and all first-year students and new transfer students are guaranteed on-campus housing for that first year at UMass Amherst, which is really exciting. And I mentioned the required advising appointment that's hosted over the summer. These are all done virtually over Zoom. Students meet with their advisor and they actually build their first semester schedule together. They might talk about what majors or minors they're interested in, kind of really starting to explore what that curriculum is going to look like, getting their schedule set up in Spire or Schedule Builder. And that way they have over the summer the schedule that they're going to go into for the fall semester. If they need to reach out to their advisor in August after they've built their schedule in June or July, they totally can. Some people have built their schedule before they come to Ready for the U. Some people come to campus for Ready for the U first and then build their schedule in July. But we allow for some flexibility in that. And students, that's their first time meeting with their advisor. Students have assigned advising information in Spire. Sometimes that's a team of advisors, sometimes it's a specific person, but they can always reach out to that person with any questions they have. And we really say that your advisor should be the first person you go to for an academic question on campus. When we think about moving past freshman year, we really want to increase students' independence in their self-advocacy. We know that there's a lot of support set up for them freshman year, and that's not to say that it goes away sophomore year, but it might just look different. For example, in those first year halls, students have peer mentors. These are live-in student staff. I actually was a peer mentor in undergrad. It was very fun. And they really focus on academic well-being, academic resources. They hold study hours in the Residential Academic Service Center. They might have, study groups are together around finals or midterms. They might do time management workshops. Those only exist in the first year halls, but you can still get peer support, whether that's through peer advisors in your school or college, peer tutors at the Learning Resource Center, student success peer coaches in the Learning Resource Center. There's tons of peer options. It just isn't in your residential hall anymore. Another example of how things might change depending on a school or college. So for example, in the College of Natural Sciences, CNS, students have a first year advisor. And then after their first year, they have an upper level advisor. And that person stays with them starting in sophomore year all the way through graduation. Not every college functions that way, but it is just another example. And a third example is that students have to declare a major by the end of their third semester. It's not to say that they might not still be exploring or that they can't make changes after that, but for anybody who is on one of the 6 exploratory tracks, so College of Natural Sciences, Social and Behavioral Sciences, Humanities and Fine Arts, School of Public Health and Health Sciences, Education, and Interdisciplinary, they have to declare a major by the end of that third semester. And again, they've been working with an advisor this whole time to kind of explore what opportunities exist to them and what they want to do. We at UMass really believe in promoting, student support, engaging with campus, and really encourage students to seek help when they need it. And that could be for a variety of different things. So I've put a few different resources on the screen. Dean of Students Office is our undergrad and graduate support for students who are going through complex issues. And that could be anything ranging from hospitalization for illness, a death in the family, um, maybe ongoing critical mental health issues. A student can request support for themselves. I've certainly requested support for students I've been working with. If you, as a family member or a supporter or a loved one, are concerned, you can request support for your student through there. Um, I linked the thing that way if you have the presentation later, and I'll make sure I get Ashley my slides so that the link can be included. Um, you can request support at any time, and then our Dean of Students office reviews those, triages the assistants, and then assigns them to case managers for follow-up. We have Hand Raise and Navigate 360. Navigate 360 is our student success management platform. It is also a smartphone app. We brought the app to campus last year. I'm one of the application administrators for it. And I handle all of the hand raises, which just started this spring. So this might be something that students haven't heard of yet, but they're slowly learning. Hand raise is a way for students to virtually ask for help or virtually raise their hand. So without even leaving their room, they can reach out for help. And right now, we're just piling it with academic support since that's kind of in our wheelhouse and what we can control. But my goal for the program is that we can really integrate more student affairs offices, broaden our campus partnerships with the colleges, the Learning Resource Center, the Center for Multicultural Advancement and Student Success, and other resources. Right now, students can ask for help connecting with their academic advisor, changing their major, or something else academic. And I'll share with you that everyone who's raised their hand so far, it's been something else academic. And that has ranged from asking if I can substitute a stat class for a different math class. How do I get my graduation tickets? Is there somebody I can talk to in person? The website says I have to email. And we're really just triaging those within 24 to 40 business hours to get students a fast turnaround for the problem that they need. We definitely don't want it to go unanswered, especially if students take that first step in asking for help. If a student is struggling with mental health, they can call the Center for Counseling and Psychological Health, CCPH, confidential crisis line. That is open 24/7. Students can also book appointments with our counseling center via phone call. We offer 4 free counseling sessions to students who are paying their fees, and they can also help with referrals for the area. They can also walk over to CCPH during their business hours and see somebody if they need to, or get help getting set up. We have the Sexual Assault Support and Advocacy, or SASA hotline. That's another resource that's open 24/7. And then where I work, the Undergraduate Student Success Center, I always say that if you're not sure where to go, we're a pretty good starting place. So I put our email up there, which is just studentsuccess@umass.edu, as well as our phone number. When students email us, we have a great team of receptionists who kind of triage who it needs to go to on our team, and it gets forwarded to the right staff member. Or if they're not sure where it goes, because maybe it's something that we don't handle, they'll call in one of us to consult, and we make sure that the student gets connected to where they need to go. And we get all sorts of inquiries, whether it's about a job on campus or how can I get connected with time management? I don't know who my advisor is, all sorts of different questions. So we're here to help no matter what it is. But also included some additional commonly used campus resources. And I've mentioned the Learning Resource Center. That is our tutoring center for campus. It's in the library, which is in my virtual background behind me. They're located on the 10th floor, and they have drop-in tutoring. They have scheduled tutoring appointments. They have what we call supplemental instruction, or SI, which we're really proud of our SI program. And that's mainly for the math and science courses, but it's basically an additional lecture that students can attend each week for review. They have the academic success coaching program that I mentioned, and that's both peer coaches and professional staff coaches. Coaches help with motivation, academic accountability, time management, overall well-being skills. If a student has an incomplete or has fallen behind in a class, they can help them make a schedule to get caught up and kind of keep them on track. They offer accountability groups, which are really just times of the day and night where you can come to the Learning Resource Center and do work independently, but among other people. We found that body doubling, or at least being in an academic environment where others are focused, can kind of help students get connected and say, okay, everyone else here is doing their work. I really have to buckle down and do mine too. It's a great way to get them out of their rooms. We offer similar study hours in the Undergrad Student Success Center, but ours are 4 days a week during the day, whereas the Learning Resource Center offers them 7 days a week and often in the evening. So no matter what time of day it is, students can find somewhere to go. Disability services is another commonly used resource. We recommend that students get connected with disability services early. So if you're first starting to come here, even before you get here, you can set up with disability services. Or if you realize you get here and you do need accommodations, you can set up then. We just can't apply accommodations retroactively, which is why I say do it early. Students don't need a formal diagnosis to connect with disability services, and that's a common misconception. So I usually like to have them talk whenever it's possible. And see what is there. Clockwork is the system that disability services use, and the first step for students to connect with them is really to just submit whatever documentation they might have, and that could be a personal statement if they don't have any medical documentation. That goes to the team. An access coordinator is assigned to a student. They'll reach out to the student to set up a meeting and kind of talk through all the materials they received, ask questions, and learn more. And then the team will review it for a week or two and then either grant or deny accommodations depending on what is legally possible, reasonable, all that kind of stuff. And those could be things, whether it's for a diagnosed learning disability, whether it's for a mental health condition, or even if it's just temporary. I know, sometimes people break their leg and they might need some temporary help getting around campus for a bit of time. That's always something that we can support. And then I did mention the Center for Multicultural Advancement and Student Success, CMAS. They're located in Goodell, which is the building that I work in as well. They help students. They also have a coaching program like the Learning Resource Center. So students do have an option whether they want to go through a more academic or whether a more cultural based option. They do really fun events on campus, whether that's for like National History Months, or they do this great thing called the Amazing Race, which is basically a campus-wide scavenger hunt every year. They do educational opportunities. They have a computer lab that students can use. They support our students who are part of the foster care system. They do such great work and totally underutilized. So if that sounds like something your student could connect with, I really encourage them to check it out. I mentioned we're in Goodell. Goodell just got renovated, so all of the cultural centers are brand new. It's really great space to hang out, lots of beautiful light, and tons of people who are just waiting to meet them. And it's really important to build out that team of who's going to support you. They have you all, they have their family, they have their friends, and they came into UMass with that. But they want to start building new social connections here. They should get to know their professors, their faculty, their TAs. I know, especially in a lecture hall, it can be really scary, but that's what office hours are for, connecting with a professor. And even if you don't have a question, you can still go and say, hey, I really liked what we talked about in lecture this week. That was very cool. How did you get into researching that? And it might just start up a conversation. All professors have to offer office hours. So you can do it for small classes as well as large classes. And especially for large classes that do have teaching assistants or TAs, it can be nice to get to know them too. Sometimes they're the ones grading your work. Sometimes they're the ones leading a discussion session. And that way you can connect with both instructors. I always tell people if you're going to be applying for an internship or graduate school, a job, you're going to need people to write you recommendation letters. And especially for graduate school, at least one of them is going to have to be faculty. Or if you're planning to study away somewhere else and they might need a recommendation letter, it's important to have two faculty at minimum who you can go to ask for a recommendation letter. I've mentioned the academic advisor before. That should be your first person for any kind of academic question, but each school and college also has academic deans. Students might talk with an academic dean if they want to take more credits than the maximum that's allowed, or if they want to withdraw from a class now that we're after the mid-semester date and they feel like they need to drop something, if they want to elect a class pass-fail after the mid-semester date, if they're debating withdrawing from the university. There's all sorts of reasons that they might talk to an academic dean, and they're totally there to support you. And I mentioned academic counselors as well. They're like academic advisors. They're our counterpart in our athletics office. So if your student is a student athlete, they have an assigned academic counselor. They probably know that person very well. It's very high touch over there. I formerly worked in that office. And that's another person that will help them both understanding their academics in terms of making sure that it aligns with their athletic schedule and their graduation requirements and keeps them eligible for NCAA. I've mentioned the success coaches and the tutors that you can find either at CMAS or through the LRC. I've mentioned the case managers who are in Dean of Students office and the access coordinators who are in disability services. There are tons of people on this campus who are here to support them, and it can just be a matter of reaching out. There is a resource for anything that a student might need. It is just a matter of knowing where to go. And that could be the academic accommodations. It could be, how do I, get help for the anxiety I'm facing? Or it could just be like, I want to go to Earth Foods. I know it's a student-run business. I hear it's really great for vegans and vegetarians, but I just don't know where it is. And we're here to help with anything like that. So, living on campus. That's one of the things that after freshman year, it isn't guaranteed. We do prioritize students who are newly admitted. So right now we're thinking about spring 25, fall 25, or spring 2026 admits, our three most recent semesters. They are given priority for shared space in what we think of as traditional residence halls. This process includes enough spaces that all students who do receive a room selection appointment will have the opportunity to select a housing assignment. For our more senior students who were admitted in fall 2024 or earlier, they're given priority consideration for different rooms on campus. So what we think of as single rooms rather than a traditional shared space, or on-campus apartments. We have on-campus apartments in both the North Apartments, there's 4 buildings, and then the Commonwealth Honors Residential College, Commonwealth Honors College Residential. CHRC, there's too many acronyms at UMass. So if I'm ever using an acronym and you don't know what it is, please, we will debrief that for you. But there's different apartments across campus. Those are what our more senior students are given priority for. We can't guarantee that all students who have an appointment for those more senior spaces will be able to select an assignment, but Residential Life does work with students to help them secure housing throughout the summer. And so I wanted to give an overview of what housing selection looks like, not only so you know what happened this year, but as your student starts thinking ahead for the upcoming years. So this year, currently enrolled students needed to request online room selection between February 17th and March 13th. They get a bunch of emails about this. Their RA brings it up. There's flyers in the dorms. It's very well advertised. Anybody who submitted a request during that period was given a room selection appointment. That room selection appointment posted on March 23rd, and then depending on when their appointment was, they picked a room between March 25th and April 3rd. Appointments are based on the number of semesters that a student has lived on campus, that's their priority, as well as a randomly assigned number, which is their order within the priority. And so anybody who's lived on campus this first year for 2 semesters, they are all in one group together, priority 2 semesters, and then they just randomly assign a number for the rest of it. And that's the order you pick within your group. Students go into Spire, they pick the exact room that they're going to live in after freshman year. When they were planning to live on campus freshman year, they were just ranking their choices of living area. So Northeast, Southwest, Orchard Hill, or Central. And if they're an honors student, they can rank the honors college. But now, as they move into sophomore and junior year, they're going to pick the very exact room in the exact hall that they're living. So I always recommend that students go scope out the halls they think they might want to live in, especially if they're unfamiliar with a different residential area. I know when I was a student here, I lived in Southwest, I lived in a tower. We liked the area. We liked how high up we were, but what we didn't like is that we only had 1 elevator for our floor. The building has 3 elevators and some go to every floor. And we didn't have laundry on our floor. So we went around and we figured out which floors had 3 elevators and laundry and a women's bathroom. And we said, okay, we're fine with living in any of the 4 towers that aren't for first years on any of these floors. And that way we'll have tons of options. Definitely it involves planning as well as thinking about who you might room with, but it can make actually selecting that appointment just go a little smoother. So if a student has not secured on-campus housing, they still do have options. So if somebody either didn't request an appointment or they forgot or something, they can participate in the unassigned room selection process. This requires that students request an appointment in July, starting July 1st, ending on July 20th. They will review their assigned appointment in Spire on July 22nd, and then again, based on that priority or the order within their group, they will select a room between July 23rd and August 7th. That's midsummer. And so I don't encourage people to wait until then to see what happens. Um, you can explore the off-campus living opportunities nearby. We actually have an off-campus student center that both supports students who want to move off campus and who are already living off campus. I've put their email in there as well as their phone number and where they're located on campus. And they have an off-campus housing website that is very, very helpful. You can filter by how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, if there's parking, if there's laundry, is it on a bus route? So many different things. And they know all of the lenders, the loaners, the mortgage people, the apartment complexes in the area. They can help you find something that's going to meet your needs. So if you are exploring these off-campus opportunities, highly recommend working with them. And then if your student does move off campus, they can come to the off-campus student center for free coffee, which is very exciting for people. There's some study space. There's lockers that are available for rent. There's a microwave and a fridge if they need to store food while they're on campus, because maybe they've reduced their meal plan and they don't plan on eating as much on campus, so they've cooked food and brought it with them. Definitely encourage working with them there. And then if it's realistic and feasible, consider commuting to campus from home. And this might be that you are living in the area, maybe in West Springfield or Chicopee or Greenfield, and you could reasonably commute to campus. If you're living over an hour away or you're from southeastern Massachusetts like I am, it's not going to be very reasonable to commute 3 hours a day, potentially 4 or 5 days a week, depending on your course schedule, to come here. And so I know that won't be an option for everybody, but if it is sounding like it could be an option for you and your family, I would really encourage your student to work with their academic advisor to discuss course scheduling options. And they can do that to see, is it possible for me to just be here 2 or 3 days a week? Could I do a mix of online and in-person classes? How could I make this work for me? Ashley's been so helpful dropping in all these links. There are also links for students to sign up for to stay connected to Living at UMass, where they can get updates over the summer. And I especially recommend that anybody who hasn't secured on-campus housing, that the student does get on that newsletter list so that they can see all of the important information over the summer. So advising and course registration also looks a little different. I mentioned that required advising appointment over the summer that they come when they first get here. It's virtual. They pick their schedule right then and there with the advisor. They walk away from that appointment knowing what they're taking. Right now, we have registration for fall 2026 underway. Unlike last summer when they were meeting with an advisor, students register for classes on their own after their enrollment appointment begins, but that is typically after having met with their advisor, going over requirements, getting recommendation for courses. Right now, rising juniors are picking classes. Next week, rising sophomores will pick classes, and then the final week of April, on the Monday, April 27th, I believe it is, anybody who still has first year standing, meaning they have earned 26 credits or less, they will be taking classes on Monday, April 27th. So enrollment appointments, or the time and day that a student is allowed to enroll in classes, were posted in Spire mid-March. They've gotten lots of emails about this from their advisor as well as the university. Appointments are determined by the number of credits a student has earned. So you heard me just kind of go through that. Seniors have to pick first, and then we work our way through down to the first year students. I know it can sometimes be nerve-wracking when sophomores or first years get their appointment and they feel like they're picking so late, but I always try to remind them that a senior has completed their gen eds and is taking upper level classes. They don't need the same classes that a first year student or a rising sophomore is going to need. And it's done this way for a reason. This also means that if your student brought in a lot of either AP, IB, A-level, dual enrollment credit, transfer credit, they might be picking ahead of some of their friends. So any credits they brought in, as well as any credits that are in progress, help them with that standing. And so it's not uncommon for somebody who is in their first year to be picking with the sophomores. It just helps them. But that means they'll also every single year have to be thinking, okay, I might be picking earlier and earlier. But again, they know that enrollment appointment, it's in their Spire account. It's one of those things that I tell people, put it in your phone, set an alarm. You do not want to miss that enrollment appointment, just like you don't want to miss your housing appointment, because that's your best opportunity to get exactly what you're looking for. All holds that prevent enrollment have to be cleared from a student's Spire account in order to be able to enroll in classes. Whether the advisors put a hold on students very much varies based on their major or their school and college. Some majors put holds on their students every single semester. They just know they're going to have to come see an advisor. Others might put holds on their first year students and their seniors one semester, and then their sophomore students and their juniors the second semester. Some people might only use holds in freshman and sophomore year and then not junior senior. Some people might do it freshman senior, not the middle years. It really just depends. All of these holds were placed on students' accounts in mid-March to give them several weeks to meet with an advisor before it's their turn to pick. Advising holds aren't the only holds that can prevent enrollment. So bursars holds for unpaid balances can prevent enrollment. If a student has an unpaid parking ticket with parking services on campus, that can prevent enrollment. If they didn't complete their Ready for the U, New Student and Family Programs puts a hold so that they have to do that. It could also be something from University Health Services, whether it's an overdue bill or if we haven't received their immunization forms, or if they haven't completed their health and education modules, our health education holds. Those are all things that prevent enrollment. I would say those are the most common ones. Sometimes academic deans put holds on, and that could be because there's content that needs to be reviewed before they can progress to the next year. Or it could be if a student is maybe coming off of what we call academic probation currently, or if they've returned from suspension from a semester, the academic dean might just want to check in with them. But again, all of these holds, the academic ones and the bursars ones at least, get put on very, very early. Parking holds obviously park up as students park somewhere they're not supposed to. That's why parking passes, very important here. But that gives people several weeks to clear their holds. And then they can, once those holds are off, they can enroll in their classes at that given enrollment appointment day and time. My advice as somebody who's an academic advisor for 5.5 years is that you should connect with your advisor at least once a semester. That might be just to ensure that you're going to stay on track or that you are.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I see that we might be having some technical issues. That I think Alyssa's speaker might have frozen, and so I'm just gonna message her real quickly so we can see if she can get back in the meeting. So if you want to hold on just for one moment, thank you so much for your patience and flexibility. I'll see if I can get her right back on. So I'm just gonna mute myself for a moment, and we'll get Alyssa right back. Thank you all so. All right, friends, I'm still working with Alyssa to work out the technical issues, so it might be one more minute. I will keep you all updated how we are doing. If we continue to have issues, we can have Alyssa finish this conversation in the recording, and we will post it on our website in the case that she's not able to join us. But I will let you all know in about 1 more minute. We will see how we can do with the technology. So thank you again for your patience. I will be right back. Thank you. Alright, thank you friends for your patience. It seems that Alyssa is struggling with the internet connection, and we do apologize for the technical glitch. So we will go ahead and wrap up this Family U chat right now. I will ask Alyssa to finish the presentation and address any common questions and that we can put in the video that we post so that you can see the rest of this presentation asynchronously. So we appreciate your time and your effort. Apologies again for the technical issues. So we hope you have a great day. I am so sorry that we had the technical issues, but we will make sure you get the rest of the information. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at the new student email. Also feel free to contact Alyssa's office with Undergraduate Student Success. I put the links of both in the chat. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And thank you again. I hope you have a wonderful day and can enjoy the beautiful weather. I know it's beautiful here. So enjoy. Thank you all for being here with us today, and we will connect soon. And as a shout out, coming up soon, we also have another Family U chat about move out. Move out is a very popular topic. So we have our friends from Res Life that will join us soon. So feel free to join us for the next one. So have a good day. Thank you all so much.